dear colleagues, dear partners, dear friends, dear large Ukrainian community, dear large international community, we really appreciate that you join us today with the high interest to participate in this Contacts webinar. We hope that this webinar would become the platform, the beginning of the cooperation for some of you and the strengthening of cooperation of the others. And in any case, you would find also the reliable partners in Ukraine, and we will continue our close cooperation. While again, having the situation in Ukraine of the war, we would like to start firstly by the minute of silence for those who were lost irrevocably, and also unfortunately even from tomorrow we also had the losses in our Erasmus community. And we would like to invite you to have the silence minute for all our Ukrainians and people from Ukraine and from other countries who are now supporting, helping, defending, and actually dying, losing their lives to defend the European values and to live together and have the common future in Europe, in new Europe, together with all Ukrainians. Thank you very much indeed. We all now live in new reality, while Ukrainians, I'm sure you have noticed, are really very brave. And we continue our work, and the universities are working, and the confirmation towards the thoughts of Ukrainians about the future, about the development and rebuilding of the country is also the high interest towards today's event. And all of you who are joining us today really are our potential partners and current partners who already provided the helping hands to Ukrainians and to the partners from Ukraine. Working together, all the Erasmus Tempus, Erasmus Mundus and Jean Monnet projects, and also all actions of Erasmus Plus, we have learned that people-to-people contacts are also extremely important. And this is the first helping hand who were provided by all you to the partners in Ukraine. And during all our events, we received a lot of questions and suggestions of help, and also understanding that there is a need to understand what help is needed. And of course, in this case, we were thinking to organize the event where to start matching you together, and also we will continue a series of such events later on, and we'll provide you this platform to continue cooperation together with our support and with our help, working together later on too. All difficult times we have been surviving hand in hand with our international partners and strong support from the European Commission and also from the all partners from the European Union. And we would like to invite to the welcome speech Vera Rybak, the sector manager of the EU delegation to Ukraine.
Dear colleagues, partners, and friends from the Ministry of Education and Science, representatives of Ukrainian and EU universities, colleagues from the Commission, Erasmus Plus Agency, professional networks, I am extremely honored to open this international webinar and greet you on behalf of the European Commission. This year on February 24th, the Russian Federation launched unjustified, unprovoked, aggressive war against Ukraine. We are actually fighting 134th day for our independence, territorial integrity, for European values, and for peace in Europe and in the whole world. Unfortunately, statistics of our losses extremely frustrating. 33 Ukrainian educational institutions, including 16 universities, have been displaced. A lot of universities damaged. And yesterday we received another bad, frustrating news that Kharkiv Pedagogical University was bombed and lost substantial parts of their premises. From the first date of the war, EU states united in its solidarity with Ukraine and will continue supporting Ukraine, its people and institutions through political, financial, and humanitarian support by imposing more sanctions on Russia. European Union already provided substantial support to defense of Ukraine, budget support via repurposing activities of ongoing bilateral projects, providing a new emergency immediate response amounting 330 million to Ukraine. Microfinancial assistance is also available to Ukraine. We are all very well aware about fifth package of the restrictive measures of the European Commission, terminated participation of all ongoing grant agreements to Russia, public bodies and entities, and suspend all related payments under Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe, Euratom and Erasmus+. No new contracts or agreement with Russia, public bodies or related entities will be concluded under this program. Ukrainian scientists and researchers, university students and staff contributed greatly to the gaining by Ukraine candidate status to the European Union. Commission, in its conclusion, acknowledged high standards of Ukraine education system and successful participation of Ukraine in the EU programs Erasmus+, Horizon 2020, COSMO, Horizon Europe. My sincere congratulations for these historic achievements. Indeed, Ukraine is an active and successful participant of the European Union Erasmus+ program. The Erasmus Plus results have substantial impact on building the capacity of higher education institutions, implementation of educational reform, and stronger cooperation between higher education and society. We have to maintain this success even under the current challenging time. We are expecting results from the Erasmus Plus capacity building in higher education call and believe that a number of awarded projects with participation of Ukrainian institutions would be impressive. Now, as never before, Ukrainian universities need support of their current and future partners. Therefore, I encourage you, both international and Ukrainian partners, to establish during this workshop new partnerships and cooperate closely and effectively. I see already huge interest of each other. You are presenting yourself via chat, and I'm sure you will establish a huge number of contacts and to develop them further. Apart from available digital platforms, you can always rely on the National Erasmus Plus office in Ukraine for further facilitation and establishment of your contacts. Education and skills are the foundation on which we build our future, said Commissioner Gabriel. Your knowledge, experience, and expertise are crucial for rebuilding Ukraine. I think it goes without even saying that we are all confident Ukraine, supported by all the civilized world, by all our international partners, will prevail in this horrible war. I would like to thank you very much, to thank National Erasmus Plus Office for this initiative to arrange such important event, to our colleagues from Brussels, from new member states, to the ministry, to all universities who participate and who could not participate in this event, but will further express their interest Thank you very much for joining this webinar, and I wish you constructive work today. Thank you very much, colleagues. And thank you very much for your courage, and thank you very much for your resistance and the continuation of our work under this horrible, unusual for all of us time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Vera. And yes, I'm sure that everybody would continue and even strengthen the cooperation under the Erasmus Plus after this event and also after other events we're going to have. And the synergy is really very huge. And that's what is also our goal, to have the synergy with all the opportunities provided by different international organizations in order to really strengthen and to respond to the current needs drastically. And also just in terms of the educational frontline and research frontline, the cooperation with the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine is really critical, and the additional work they are doing for further collecting of the needs, current needs and critical needs, and formulation them into some short projects is also very inspiring, to have all information in one place, which is critically important at the moment. And with this, let me invite Sergei Shkapkov from as a state expert in European integration in Directorate Strategic Plan and European Integration of the Ministry of Education and Science of Ukraine.
Thank you, dear Svetlana. Thank you, dear colleagues, dear friends. It's a great honor for me to have this intervention at this event organized by National Erasmus Office team. I am sincerely grateful for your invitation and this opportunity to speak on this respectable platform about the war in Ukraine and the state of Ukrainian education under aggression. It is Russia's brutal aggression against Ukraine which affects the current situation in Ukraine, the countries of all Europe and the world. War and active hostilities affect education systems, labor markets, social sector of all our countries. The Ukrainian education system is severely affected by aggressors' atrocities. Russian troops continue killing civilians and bombing our cities and towns. As of today, almost 2,104 educational institutions have been damaged from bombing and shelling. More than 215 of them are completely destroyed. Unfortunately, there are killed and wounded among students and educators. We still do not know how many of them has lost our education system because of Russian aggression. The number of refugees from Ukraine reaches 8 million persons, the largest number of which temporarily reside in the neighboring countries of the European Union. Despite this emergency situation in Ukrainian education, we continue systemic transformations in the sector, trying to adapt public policies to new reality. Therefore, our constant priorities remain the same. Equal access to quality education, ensuring continuity for teaching and learning, building a resilient system of education and training, and as well as digital transformation, inclusiveness, and attention to disadvantaged and vulnerable groups engagement. Some words I would like to tell you about the higher education sector. As for today, the priority tasks of state policy in the field of higher education are, first of all, support of Ukrainian universities in their cooperation with foreign higher education institutions in the implementation of joint diploma programs, other types of partnerships that contribute to increasing the competitiveness and attractiveness of obtaining education in Ukraine. Also, involvement of Ukrainian universities in participation in European university alliances, Erasmus Plus, Horizon Europe projects. support and assistance in improving the qualifications of teachers and scientists of universities abroad, in particular through the use of academic mobility tools, temporary employment according to professional skills. Search for partners among international organizations and promotion of partnership in terms of technical assistance for the establishment of international platforms for communication between development partners and universities. Also facilitating the establishment of direct partnership relations between Ukrainian universities and foreign higher education institutions. Formation of an institution of patronage or chiefdom over individual higher education institutions in matters of their reconstruction and development. I would like to reiterate that the impact of war throughout Europe is already enormous, and the negative consequences will be inevitable if the aggressor is not stopped. Another strong political decision is to grant Ukraine with European Union candidate status on June 23 this year. This step demonstrates faith in our victory and devotion to territorial integrity and sovereignty of Ukraine, and obviously will strengthen the Union. Ukraine receiving the status of a candidate for membership at first will obtain a powerful political signal from the European Union states regarding the recognition of Ukraine as a member of the European family. For the spheres of education and science, as well as for other spheres, the status of a candidate is a political incentive to complete the implementation of quality transformations in the educational and scientific sector, the relevance of which has long been overdue. It will also be a recognition of the success of European integration reforms in Ukraine, which were supported or in some cases initiated by European partners. It's worth noting that the state of sectoral integration of Ukrainian education and science is already high, as noted by colleagues from the European Commission. In particular, it's about participation in European Union programs such as Erasmus Plus and Horizon. Summing up, I would like to express our taking by you and your countries to ensure support and solidarity with Ukrainian education and science. Thank you to our colleagues for the organization of such important event, and to all European friends for the unprecedented support provided for Ukraine and Ukraine's education system and scientific sphere. Every effort is valuable for us. Thank you so much. Slava Ukraini!
Героям слава! Thank you very much, dear Sergei. And we continue our work together also with the ministry, with all the government, and also united our forces to reflect and respond to the challenges. And with all this, I also would like to invite for the welcome Lucia Giannini from the Education and Culture European Executive Agency to greet the participants on behalf of the ACA, the agency who is responsible for the implementation of Erasmus Plus program, the centralized part of it. Yeah, welcome.
Thank you very much, Svetlana. It's indeed a great honor for me to be here with you this afternoon and to welcome you on behalf of the institutions for which I work, which, as Svetlana said, is the European Education and Culture Executive Agency, EAICA. A lot of you I've seen are already familiar with the cooperation opportunities with Erasmus Plus, but some others not. So just to give you a few words, we are the agency in charge of implementing different programs on behalf of the European Commission, and especially the famous and very important Erasmus Plus programs. We work on what we call the centralized actions of Erasmus Plus, and Me in particular, I am working in the Erasmus Plus capacity building unit. And I am the desk responsible for Ukraine, Armenia, and Azerbaijan. It's indeed an honor to be in charge of this role at the executive agency, to work in the Eastern Partnership and to work a lot to support Ukrainian projects. So thank you, Svetlana and their team, because your support also from your side is very, very important, and we have established a very good collaboration together, the National Erasmus Plus office and the EACA on the other side. Just to say that, well, of course, I'm personally very concerned by the difficult situation due to the war in Ukraine, and I am really impressed by the fact that the capacity building projects that we have running, which are a lot because Ukraine is extremely active in capacity building, all these projects are continuing to work under these very hard circumstances. They are really showing resilience and willingness to go forward with the cooperation, and this is really very impressive. So from my side, I just want to transmit the support of our agency to all these projects. And as I said, Ukraine has been always very active in capacity building, always having the highest number of applications and a very high number of also successful projects financed. And I'm sure that this will continue in the coming years, and I'm also confident that this interesting opportunity of the webinar today will open the way to new collaborations and new ideas for future projects between European partners and Ukrainian partners. Thank you very much, and I look forward to listen to the discussion. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucia. Thanks for support to the current projects and also for the potential partners. Your supports and the team of EACA is really usually very valuable, and we understand all the procedures, but still this is the support is there and it is visible. Thank you very much. And let's go to our speakers today, and that's really quite my honor and pleasure to welcome all the speakers, and we really thanks to all of you who joined us today with the sharing your experience of the partnership on the cooperation and also for the working groups. And with this, let me introduce you Michelle Stewart, the president of EAIE, the European Association for International Education, and director of internationalization at the University of Strathclyde, the UK. And Laura Rambley, Associate Director, Knowledge Development and Research at European Association for International Education. The floor is yours.
Because the presentation is okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon to each and every one of you joining the session today. On behalf of the EEI, I'd just like to thank briefly all of those involved in the training course on management of internationalization, German and Ukrainian cooperation. So through attendance at this event, we have been very kindly invited to join this very important session today. So we recognize that this, to say the least, is an extraordinarily challenging and stressful time for our Ukrainian colleagues. And thank you to Svetlana, Vera and Serhii for describing the immediate and longer term challenges you're facing. We at the EEI consider it a privilege to be able to connect with so many of you today, and I'm really delighted to see so many colleagues from across Europe, obviously from Ukrainian universities, and I can also see some EEIE members in the distribution in the list of participants. More broadly and a longer term, we consider it a serious responsibility to find ways to really walk with you during this very, very difficult period, and to do whatever we can to help support Ukrainian higher education universities, particularly in terms of international connections and other dimensions. I think it's fair to say that community building is at the heart of everything we try to do within the European Association for International Education, the EAIE. Now, I'm aware that some of you will be familiar with the EAIE and some of you less so. So I do want to just spend a little bit of time setting out what it is we do. And I'll try to be very efficient, but in essence, the EAIE is about educating and connecting people for a purpose. We articulate this first and foremost through our vision statement, which reads, and I'm going to read it because I think more than ever, we need to be reminded of why we do what we do. And this is a vision where we have an equitable world in which international education connects diverse perspectives and fosters greater understanding. And we believe that international education has the power to create a better world. And I think everyone on the screen now recognizes that the need for that is more important now than maybe in my lifetime. In very practical terms, we do this through our status as a professional association, and we're based in the Netherlands, but our focus is Europe, and I say Europe in the broadest sense. Coming from the UK, obviously, I have to say that. But our main areas of interest are in shaping developments in the field, serving the international higher education community of professionals, but also to some extent and increasingly the academic community. And we work to ensure, as we said in our vision statement, that higher education is equitable, ethical, socially responsible, and accessible and accountable. So this is really hardwired into what we are trying to do. In 2019, we set out our strategy as a 6-year strategy to 2026, really mapping out how we were going to try and honour this vision that we have. And as you can see on the screen, our strategy is focused on enabling the sector with information, skills, and fellowship to help our members and stakeholders maintain focus, energy, enthusiasm, and the highest standards of professional practice. We're also committed to influencing and engaging stakeholders whom we think should understand and appreciate the important work of international education. And finally, the need to demonstrate impact so that we can show real tangible evidence of the positive impact of our activities in this very important field. So how do we do this at a practical level? So we, as I've said, we try to foster mutual understanding and nurture global citizens. And we do this through helping our members play their part in helping to advance this work. So the EAIE therefore undertakes a range of activities, and we've just listed a few here. So exposing new trends in the field and providing space to debate hot topics. And obviously all of the activities around working with Ukrainian universities is a hot topic. And Laura will say a little bit more about how trying to raise awareness, but also support and understand the needs that you have at this point in time. We offer practical, oriented and research-based publications, and we also provide networking opportunities. A bit like today, this is a great networking opportunity for us. We can also see how we go about this in the activities and events that we convene and in the materials that we produce. So during the pandemic, we have really moved a lot of our resources online. We now have community moment webcasts. We have podcasts. In fact, again, Laura will tell you about a specific Ukrainian podcast that just launched, I think it was yesterday. The Academy, which is online at the moment, but will hopefully move to online and in person. And the Community Exchange, and that was an online conference offered in 2020 and 21 when we were unable to have our big international conference. So Laura will share some specific examples as to how we're using our platform and our resources to support Ukrainian universities and the sector as a whole. This slide, I think, captures the breadth of our community. We estimate that there could be at least 50 to 60,000 people working in internationalization within Europe. And I think that's probably a conservative estimate when you think about the number of people in our own universities involved in these activities. But I think the key thing here is that no, sometimes we feel that we're working in isolation. And I think, again, when big events like the pandemic or the war in Ukraine come about, that sense of isolation can be heightened. So we're doing everything we can to reach out to people and provide the resources and the support that they need. In a typical year, we will have 3,000 EAIE members. And through our online events, we reach about 10,000 people. And our conference that's coming back in September this year, the physical conference, would normally have about 6,000 people. So that's just to give you a sense of the scale of our operations and also the opportunities that you can tap into. I mentioned that I'm from the UK, and I know that this is an Erasmus session, but I think it is worthwhile highlighting in terms of the twinning arrangements that have already been put in place. We have launched this twinning scheme. I think it was signed off 2 weeks ago. So over 80 UK universities have now signed up to this scheme. And I think we have to acknowledge the amazing work of Charles Cormack in bringing all of that together. And I know that, again, from the participant list, that some of you are already very involved in that twinning initiative. So I think hopefully after the event today, we'll see more collaboration taking place. And I was very pleased to see the number of exchanges going through the chat where you're all looking for partners, and I think there's going to be some great outputs from the session today. But at this moment, and I know that we don't have an awful lot of time to go through this, I want to hand over now to Laura, who's going to tell you about some of the work we've been doing to support Ukraine in the past few months. Thanks, Laura.
Thank you so much, Michelle, and I will try to be very brief, and for everyone to know what we pass over quickly, you will have access to it when you receive our slides after this session. In terms of the EAE and its engagement with Ukraine, I think it's fair to say that over the last several months, there are kind of 4 things that we've been trying to do. The first is to really demonstrate our willingness to stand in solidarity with Ukraine. We're trying to use our convening power to bring people together so that we can share ideas and make connections. We're trying to produce content of value to individuals both within Ukraine and outside who are trying to learn about the situation. And we're trying to be a place where we can share and reshare information. So a useful conduit for pieces of information that people need. If you take nothing away from my part of the presentation today, I hope it would be this. This provides information about a resource page that we have on our website that's specifically dedicated to Ukraine. The ovals on the screen show you how you get there, going to our main page, clicking on the resource link at the top, and then finding that Ukraine resources list on the bottom. And I'm going to quickly give you a couple of examples of the things that you'll find there. First and foremost is to remind you that we have put out several statements that relate to our position with respect to the war in Ukraine, and some very particular and specific steps we thought were important to take in order to make that those words of solidarity more real. So in March, you'll see that we gave some very clear signals about how we were going to handle official government organizations from Russia and Belarus and their that we were not going to involve them officially in our exhibition for our conference, and that we were going to take very special steps to make prominent Ukraine within our program at our annual conference. And I'll talk a little bit about that in a moment. And we also offered one free EAA membership per higher education institution in Ukraine for this calendar year. For those who are not aware of that, I hope you'll be in touch with us so that we can provide you with more information about that. In terms of events, we've convened 2 events in the last couple of months. One is this community moment, which brought together a couple of speakers representing institutions in Ukraine to talk about the current situation and allow our community to understand and engage and ask questions about that. We also offered a half-day ideas lab in mid-May, again, to bring people together for an opportunity to talk and connect and develop ideas that could hopefully turn into some very specific actions and particular actions. We are working to try to put out content, mostly in the context of blogs and podcasts. Here you see a couple of examples of what we've been able to do so far, providing information about how to support international students in times of crisis and conflict, and provided some data-driven information about what Ukrainian students abroad are facing and some of the needs that they have in order to succeed. In our podcast series, we're trying to bring the voices of real people to the fore. And you can see here that in April and July, we've had podcasts that, again, bring those perspectives forward. A Ukrainian student who is found herself in the Netherlands as the war broke out, what she's been doing both personally and within her institution. And then just yesterday, as Michelle mentioned, a Ukrainian literature expert helping people understand and think about the beauty and complexity and multi-layered nature of Ukrainian culture through its literary tradition, and kind of a special way, I think, to get people thinking about the special country that Ukraine is. In terms of resources, we are delighted to have been able to post from the Ukraine Erasmus Plus National Office current information in the form of a very extensive slide deck that can be easily downloaded. And just a note here, in April, we produced a report on international student admissions in which we were able to include a question about the way that institutions across Europe were expecting how their admission numbers of Ukrainian students might adjust over time and what they might be doing to provide greater access to their institutions, given the needs of displaced Ukrainian students. Finally, I'd like to mention, as Michelle has, our largest and most prominent event. This is kind of where everything we do really comes together in one big moment. In September, we have our annual conference in Barcelona with the theme, The Future in Full Color. And in support of Ukraine, we've been able to offer a stand showcasing Ukrainian higher education institutions that will sit right in the center of the exhibition hall next to our very own stand, which has a place of pride in that space. And we're also offering a What's New in Ukraine session within the conference program, which again, not only makes the country and its institutions visible, but also makes them heard. And we're very, very excited to have that opportunity to be able to share those resources. I will pause here. In the event that there is an opportunity for questions, that would be great. But if we're short on time, I'll be here for much of the rest of the event today.
Dear Michelle, dear Laura, thank you very much for your contribution. And in fact, I'm sure that at the moment, the majority of universities are already cooperating with you and will strengthen cooperation and establish cooperation. The new ones, we heard the website also of the association, and the resources there are tremendous, and also not only for the academics but for researchers. And perhaps, who knows, maybe there would be the contacts for the supervision of the PhD thesis from your side to the Ukrainian professors, researchers. So that could be also another opportunity for cooperation. And personally also learned a lot reading your researches and your papers, which helped me to formulate a lot of things within my PhD thesis. So thanks a lot, and we continue our cooperation together, and thanks for the synergy. With this, let me also pass the floor to other colleagues who will be working and synergizing, and also with all their contribution together with EAIE colleagues for the development of the capacity of the international relation officers to work very efficiently and to learn new technologies in the internationalization implementation. About networking opportunities, let me invite our two dearest colleagues, Oksana Seymenait, Managing Director of German-Ukrainian Academic Society, and Natalia Butic, the Regional Coordinator of Central Eastern Europe and International Office of Leibniz University Hannover, Germany. You're welcome.
Thank you. So I'll be starting and Natalia will continue. Just check. So I hope you see my presentation. It's very quickly. I'll just give you a few words about the Ukraine network and German-Ukrainian Academic Society. So, sorry, I'll just, so the Ukrainian Academic International Network basically came up as an idea in the wake of the first aggression, real aggression against Ukraine that happened in 2014. It was initiated by a group of Ukrainian-born German researchers here in Berlin. And as the first thing, we organized a big networking event in 2016 in Berlin. And it brought together both students, but also professors, both of Ukrainian origin working here in Germany, but also Germans or international researchers who cooperated with Ukraine. And it was quite a success. And we really thought, okay, how can we capitalize on that interest and momentum of that event? And then basically, this is how the Ukrainian Academic International Network was launched. So here's the webpage. And the main goals of our network are to foster academic cooperation with Ukraine. We also would like to improve knowledge about Ukraine abroad and vice versa, increase the visibility of Ukrainian science and scientists, and support career development of researchers. The network, and of course also to support reforms in Ukrainian science, which was, in my view, they were really going forward before the war started again or restarted again in February. Our network, very informal, it's international, as I already mentioned. And basically it functions through informal contacts between people and this LinkedIn groups that I welcome you to join. And here in Germany, then we also felt that it would be important to have a really formalized organization, an NGO, to give us a voice, but also to enable to be a formal partner on different projects and potentially also raise funding. So in 2016, we founded the German-Ukrainian Academic Society, the main goal of which is to support the goals of the Ukraine network from Germany and in Germany. As you can see here, the members of our society are spread all over Germany, and as well we have some members in Ukraine and abroad, and they represent different fields of sciences. So this is not like Ukrainian studies researchers network. This is researchers in physics, in geology, archaeology, chemistry, whatever, who cooperate with Ukraine or interested to foster cooperation with Ukraine. As you can see, the majority of the researchers are PhD level researchers, but we have some members who are simply supporting our goals. So what do we do? The main objective of our volunteer organization is to communicate and to share the information, to share our networks, to share our expertise. So we have the webpage and YouTube channel where you can find, for example, last year's Days of Ukraine in Berlin and Brandenburg, where we had different sessions, one of them devoted to funding opportunities for German-Ukrainian cooperation. And this is recorded. There's also a brochure with presentation slides, so lots of information there. We have information and collaboration platform. It's a project we've started, and there are already more than 100 projects where at least one of the partners is a Ukrainian partner. So these are research projects funded by, for example, German national funding organization or foundations, but also European projects. So we are working on that. If somebody is interested to join in developing this platform further, this would be very welcome. We publish newsletter and news flashes. We organize annual PhD contests. Here you could see the winners of our last year contest. And this year annual meeting where we hold the final of our PhD contest will be organized the Days of Ukraine in Lower Saxony at the end of September. And since the start of the aggression now, or start of the new phase of aggression of Russian Federation against Ukraine, we also started the Support of Ukraine pages, where we collect a multitude of information from different sources. And it includes geographically distributed offers of support for Ukrainian researchers and academics, but also non-residential offers, support for Ukrainians in Ukraine, jobs for Ukraine, not just academic jobs, grants for saving heritage, data rescue, and many different other things. So lots of useful information. We also, for example, started a series of webinars where we explain how science system of different countries work. And we did this for Germany. We did another webinar for Finland and Sweden, and another one for Switzerland and Austria, where Ukrainian researchers established in those countries, and it's actually these were 6 ERC grant holders of Ukrainian origin, were sharing their experience of working in those countries and how science is organized there. So we plan to continue that. What else we do? In addition to pure communication, sharing information, we try to concentrate our effort to support brain circulation and also support policy dialogue. And here there are examples of some of the events we organized. So, for example, German-Ukrainian Forum of Young Researchers, where we brought German researchers to Ukraine to meet their counterparts, learn more about Ukrainian science system, and as a result, to stimulate the collaboration. So some then developed joint projects and even published together. We also organized Forum of Ukrainian Research Diaspora. It was on the occasion of the 100th anniversary of Ukrainian National Academy of Sciences, which was organized in Kyiv. And there we also, after discussions, produced a paper, Way Forward for Science in Ukraine, perspective of the Ukrainian research diaspora. So we really try to mobilize our expertise to help, if we can, with supporting the changes. Our members and society also, one of the very useful formats that we found to support our collaborations and interactions are summer schools. So here just a small list. We organized more than 30, or at least some of our members were teaching them, and they are in different fields of science. You can see they are very often supported by DAD, German Academic Exchange Service. And these 2 projects I would like to particularly highlight, and then Natalia will continue this basically since 2019. These 2 projects of further education, I would call them structural projects, providing knowledge transfer and capacity building for Ukrainian research managers at universities in field of internationalization. Our society is a partner on these 2 projects. They are now coming into the second phase, and although there is a war and the situation is extremely difficult, it is really amazing to see that participants are very keen to continue, and actually this experience of networking and this grassroots coming together and sharing information and supporting each other resulted now in this new professional network of research and higher education managers in Ukraine, which was just recently launched. So I'll stop here and Natalia will continue. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Natalia Vutic, and I'm Regional Coordinator for Central, Southeastern, and Eastern Europe at the International Office of Leibniz University Hannover. And I'm very happy to be here with you today and share the information about the university, its project, and also networking opportunities. So I have some, yes. University of Hanover is located in northern Germany in a beautiful and green city of Hanover and is very well connected. The city is known for its international fairs, modern art and music, and innovative science and research. And Leibniz University of Hanover is true to its name, and it focuses on global thinking and interdisciplinary research. There are 9 faculties and 2 faculty equivalents institutions like Quest Leibniz Research School, Leibniz School of Education. Over 80 study programs can be attended in the engineering, natural, social science, and humanities. Over 5,000 students and staff members and 29 1,000 students are working and studying currently at Leibniz University Hannover, and our key research areas where the university is leading in Germany and also worldwide are quantum optics and gravitational physics, production engineering, optical technologies, biomedical research and engineering, interdisciplinary studies of science. International Office is a strategic unit that is in charge of development and also implementation of the internationalization strategy and also coordination of the cooperation with focus regions like Eastern Europe and Ukraine. So in this unit, we coordinate the cooperation with Ukrainian University. This is the place where the ideas are born and realized. And I would like to share with you the insight with some of the project, a brand new one in the program line, Ukraine Digital Ensuring Academic Access in Time of Crisis, is funded by Federal Ministry of Education and Research and German Academic Exchange Service. And in this project, we cooperate with Leibniz Information Center for Science and Technology, which is also the German National Library for Technology and Science, and also University Library. Together with our 3 partner universities in Ukraine, we develop institutional, instructional and learning videos in biomedical engineering, biology, material science and information technology under Creative Commons license. And we will integrate them into the infrastructure of TAB, and also subtitle them into Ukrainian and Russian. The infrastructure of TAB for open science and open education resources include open access portal for sharing scientific and educational videos, Trilode, and also open education resources search index. Please follow the YouTube link that you see on this slide. And there you can find the presentation of TAB on open science and open education resources, and also you get the information how you can join and also network in this project. Another very important and key project for cooperation with Ukraine that Oksana has already mentioned is in the program line of Federal Ministry of Education, Research and DID support for the internationalization of Ukrainian higher education institution. And this is a training program that we started 2019, and the first cohort of education and science managers from Ukraine were trained in the program Management of Internationalization, German-Ukrainian Academic Cooperation. So the main aim of this project is to support internationalization of Ukrainian universities. In the first cohort, we had 16 of them, and in the second, also 16 of them. They are located all over Ukraine. These are universities of applied science, the technical universities, also medical universities, so very of different size and quality. And we also convey in-depth knowledge of all relevant aspects of internationalization. This includes seminar, workshops, but also practical assignments. And the main idea is to qualify university staff to manage processes and tasks of internationalization in the area of higher education. I'm really happy to see among the participants lots of our current members and also alumni. We also focus on soft skills such as intercultural competence, project conflict and change management. And one of the main ideas of this project is also to foster German-Ukrainian academic cooperation and build and strengthen networks within Ukraine, with Germany and internationally. So here I would like to share with you also the link to the platform of German-Ukrainian Academic Society, which is also a cooperation partner in this project, where you can find the individual internationalization project results on the platform, but also this platform can be also used to find partners, because here all the projects are listed that were conducted and funded by various organizations. Building and strengthening networks means that we want Ukrainian university to give a voice and empower them. So last year, the participants of the project also took part at the EIE Community Exchange Virtual Conference and Exhibition Fair, so where they could establish international contacts and exchange their ideas. And we also plan the participation at the EIE Conference and Exhibition in Barcelona this year, that was mentioned before. Besides, from German-Ukrainian Academic Society, also Netzwerk Wissenschaftsmanagement, so Network Science Managers of Germany, is supporting the project. And also this organization that is already existing for over 10 years is supporting the establishment of a professional network of education and science managers of Ukraine. So this professional network is organized by some of the alumni of our More Ukraine project, and it's aimed to unite science and higher education managers from different regions from Ukraine for capacity building, for building national, international exchange and networking. If you're a foreign partner and want to expand your geography, involve managers from Ukraine in your project and share professional experience, please join. You can join the LinkedIn group. There is also a Twitter account, email, a WhatsApp group, and also on this slide you see the form that you can fill out and join the network. So let's network together. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Natalia, and thanks a lot, Oksana, for the presentation of the opportunities for networking for our partners. And I'm sure that today we have the representatives of the international community who also provides a lot of support. And with this, may I ask the participants and also the partners and potential partners from the international community to react with the, I don't know, with the heart or with this sign showing that you also have the support towards the Ukrainians and Ukrainian universities. The opportunity are presented also to your websites of the universities and also of your communities, that it is really true that a lot of resources are accumulating at different universities and different institutions. Then we need to kind of have one platform to unite it, which is also provided by the European Commission. But thanks a lot. Yeah, we see now that it's really a kind of a huge community of these supports provided for Ukrainians and also for Ukrainian academics, researchers and students and the young people. And with this, let me highlight just a few questions and a few opportunities within Erasmus Plus program, just to not to take a lot of time for the continuation of the event with the group work. Just to highlight that in these slides, in this presentation, which is already on the website, we collected all information and resources which might be helpful both for those who are looking for partners in Ukraine and wants to understand the challenges, wants to understand the system of higher education, vocational education and training, and also to understand the opportunity, the needs, the challenges and the needs for cooperation on different levels, starting from individual, then also institutional and the national, and as well as the Erasmus program. We also included the information about the Erasmus Plus program needs to be responded furthermore. The presentation you see now is shortest variant, and the longest variant is largest variant is on the website with all details and the key elements for the understanding of the responses which are currently having. And I'm sure that you already know that the majority of universities are operational either on their places or relocated, and the academics, the researchers and students, different positions like in the military, territorial defense, humanitarian, educational referral forces, but in any case, continue teaching and learning processes. And of course, the number of the number and the huge efforts of the cooperation is also done at the people-to-people contacts, but also responding to different cooperation opportunities. And we encourage you to explore the National Platform for Recovery Plan in English language, then regular updates of the ministries on the needs and emergency needs and current needs to rebuild Ukraine. There you can find a lot of information of the projects already, and which are looking for further cooperation. Then the strategy on the development of higher education, this document is also the one for further ideas of the projects, apply for not only for for the Erasmus Plus, but also for other donors, which could be exactly the response to the critical needs which we are facing at the moment. And the response of the program at the individual institutional level is provided by the funding of the flexibility approach and specific measures for Ukraine within international credit mobility of old generation and new generation. And with this, we are currently having also the challenges for the universities to work at the level of the institutional cooperation. And we encourage you to explore today during the working group and the mobility actions, but also in terms of the possibility to sign the agreements between the institutions. So we are available here to help with it, but sometimes the students apply directly, and we see now a lot of problems, not only from the point of view of the brain drain, but also for the further recognition of the study. And the open resources provided by the European Union they now are also used by a lot by school education, vocational education and training, and the creation of several hubs and supports, and the instruments, both at individual and institutional level, provides the opportunity for further cooperation, as well as the students network and youth actions, youth initiatives. It's amazing that we all also work in solidarity to provide the information for young people to study for Ukraine if they decide so, if they can go and if they went already abroad, and also to explore Ukraine. So a lot of initiatives done by the students and by the young people all over Ukraine. Then, of course, some challenges in terms of the cooperation within the different actions like mobility and the projects for cooperation we are currently facing, not only at the level of the discussion of the support needed, but also in the implementation of current projects, while at the same time the communication is the key weapon in this case to see what can be redesigned or currently what additional activities could be added. And it is possible within current projects, both at the credit mobility or the mobility, international mobility actions, and in other actions where the open opportunities are there. So then crossing the border for male is also another challenge, but please be aware that Erasmus mobility is not under the exceptional cases. So that's only the depends on the decision of the guard officer, on the border guard officer, and at the current moment we do not have any compromise in this. This is like and I'm sure that the way we could proceed now. We did the requests to the ministry to find the opportunity to provide the equal access. So either everybody is using the Erasmus, or then nobody's using the Erasmus for crossing the border. Otherwise, this is not the case. We understand a lot of challenges currently, but that's the situation now, and we have to be very careful with that things as well. In some cases with the same documents, some men are allowed to cross the border, the others are not, and nobody can find the right answer why. And talking about the projects, we see the delay with the payment, delay of some activities, of course, because of the current challenges, but still the projects, only a few projects applied for suspension. The others continue and received the opportunity for redesigning activity to add up some new schools, maybe summer and winter schools to respond to the current challenges and current needs at the moment. And then also we highlighted the needs on individual and institutional level, mostly for support of the further development of human resources of the university to later on, after we have the victory, to rebuild Ukraine and transform the higher education institutions into the modern centers of excellence, and to create the Ukrainian alliances, let's call it like this, like we have a very good initiative, the European Universities Alliances, and perhaps we would have such kind of initiative at the national level as well. And we provide the collected all the needs we heard and was communicated to us by our Ukrainian academics, international relation officers, the rectors of the universities, vice rectors, so the current needs which are extremely needed to be implemented. In Lugano this week there was the communication on the plan of recovery, and a lot of working groups and a lot of different working groups are working on this recovery plan, and we will keep you informed on the key challenges and key needs based on it for the national level, just to apply for different projects under Erasmus+. And at program level, we are working on the negotiation in order to respond to the war and the crisis challenges in different countries and the consequences, to urge the to have the kind of urgency envelope for like relocation of funds remaining from other regions of decentralized action. So then we leave here like one slide, but we had really like more initiative which we communicated to the European Commission and hope for the support. Just a few words about the program opportunities of Erasmus+, and please be very sure that everybody from this webinar could find at least one opportunity to apply together their country at the centralized and decentralized level. And for Ukraine as a partner country, currently, we have, you see, a lot of opportunities already, and both at the central level and decentralized level, like coordinated by the European Education and Culture Executive Agency and by the national agencies. By the way, the national Erasmus+ agencies of the program countries, they provide also the page to support Ukraine, accumulating different resources available for Ukrainians, academics, researchers, and cooperation in the fields they are responsible for. It's education, youth, and sports. Please do not hesitate to find the information there. And also the cooperation is supported by the national offices, EU delegations, and also they are good contactors for you and communicators for you about your needs, and finding partners in the countries where they are and from the countries where they are, in particular in Ukraine. The platforms should not be underestimated, because these platforms are also the not only for the registration, submission, and all other administrative and bureaucratic things, but this is also for partnership search. And we learned a lot of successful stories of partnership launched, particular for the partners finding the opportunities and the partners, the contacts on funding and tender opportunities portal, as well as the for the youth actions in another one. And then the professional networks. We hear today some professional networks who also provide a lot of opportunities, not only the resources, but in other things. We can see that the professional platforms created within Erasmus Plus program, within former programs by European Commission, they continue working and providing the opportunities for close cooperation. Thus, in details, just for the presentation, as you see in these slides, it is already interactive, and you can click and go to useful information or just details, or the webinar, which is in details from the very first scratch, from the very first step, explains what are the opportunity and how to cooperate. All the needs which are described in this presentation can be covered at the individual and institutional level by different actions. And even though some actions within the action 2, for example, is not open for Ukraine, like looking forward partnership or small scale partnership, could be focused on Ukrainians who are abroad. So please explore carefully all the opportunities, not to miss any of them, because it's a kind of this systemic approach which we can further continue to implement, starting from individual mobility, starting from the mobility cooperation of student staff, going further for the virtual exchanges, and then capacity building and other actions, and especially for the Jean Monnet, which could be based on the good partnership, also not only with a single partnership. We have
we are out of time.
Yes, yeah, I'm finishing. Thanks a lot, Katya. Yeah. I'm finishing. Just to show you that we do have already developed the capacity and the opportunities to cooperate. We show the participation of Ukraine in the Erasmus Plus program, and both the National Erasmus Plus team and other agencies and other organizations which work in strong synergy together in Ukraine, and with the support of our students, we all the time in contact with our students. And here what we do together, also today organizing this kind of webinar with their supports and active participation. So we are now coming to the other part of activities, and that's like very brief focus. Details are in the presentation, and in the very beginning we also shown it to you that you get find there, and for further questions, reflections and questions. We are coming to another activity, the kind of working rooms, working groups for the discussion of each of different actions to be strengthened in terms of the partnership with you.